Welcome to Insured Solutions, your only true ally in the challenge with workers' compensation. My name is Steve Petty. I'm a senior risk manager with 35 years in the industry. As we both know, workers' compensation presents numerous challenges, and it's up to us to take aggressive action much of the time. Our program will coach and guide you down the areas and the paths that you need to take an offensive role on workers' comp, lest it take advantage of you. Too many employers end up like John, who broke his nose 7 times in the same place. Somebody finally said, it looks like you'd stay out of that place. And that's what our goal is, to keep you out of the place John has been. The first thing we want to do when we start is go to the files that were sent. The first file you have that we will open and discuss is the What to Do on a Workers' Compensation Claim file. If you would go to that, take your printed copies in English, and we will start with the cover page. And we'll proceed down through the forms until you have a good understanding of how we operate and what the forms are about. Make no mistake about it, every form has a purpose, and it's part of the offense. If you would, let's look at the first cover page. The How to Report a Workers' Compensation Claim. You know you're looking at the right form when at the top left side you see 4 emergencies. What to do on a claim if it's an emergency, cut and dry. Always deal with the employee's injury first and immediate. Everything else can flow afterwards. Let us know via the phone number or the email, but deal with the employee injuries first. The next heading to the left-hand side is non-emergencies. Here's where we're going to go down through the forms that you see in this packet to give you an idea how they work and what you do with them. The first point is to find an approved physician or doctor. For those of you in states which have an MPN, Medical Provider Network, or an MCO, a managed care organization, that's what it's speaking of. Those states that have a doctor panel with listed doctors, that's what it's referring to. That's a subject we will talk about later. For now, remember that the approved doctor is the first choice for non-emergencies. A very important point with our program and for employers is to be sure a post-accident drug test is done at the time of this visit. It is imperative we have a post-accident drug test done within 8 hours, if at all possible, for maximum benefit. If it takes longer, that's okay. Still get the post-accident done. The next step it takes you through is the claim forms themselves. It begins with the individual state first report of injury form. That form is filled out to the best of your ability. The next form you'll see is page 2 in this file, which is the Supervisor's Incident Investigation Report. That form is common. It's about the same wherever you go, so the one we have is fine. If you have one that's comparable, we're okay with that. That's done by the supervisor over the employee. The form after that one you see is a witness statement. The witness statement is important. And what's misunderstood is that if you have anyone working in the area where the employee was injured, they are in essence a witness. They need to complete this form, and if they didn't see anything, it's important they state they did not see anything. As many of those as we can have when we work with claims and the challenges of claims, the better. So a witness is a witness if they're in the area and they did not see anything. Don't discount that. The third form you're going to see in this stack is for the injured employee. The injured employee form is the most important form of all the forms. It's only one of 2 times you as the employer can go on offense and change the outcome of a claim. So many employers allow this form to be underestimated. They allow the employee to simply put down what they wish, which is usually a few words or a couple of sentences. That's meaningless. If you're going to let them do that, there's no point in even filling the form out. We can get that information off the first report of injury form. What matters is the detail. As has been said, the devil is in the details. And our purpose with the injured employee form is what they put down on paper and what they sign and date becomes cast in concrete, and it's unassailable. It cannot be passed off as hearsay. It cannot be passed off as, well, that's not what I meant. No, what they put down and what they say does matter. What accompanies this form to make this job complete, thorough, and effective is the next page in this file, which starts off with the top left column that says A checklist. The A checklist form is a match to the injured employee form. They go together. If you look at the injured employee form, down the left column there are 2 boxes, one marked A and one marked B. These are the 2 most important boxes that the employee will ever fill out. We want them to put what we want on that paper. We are trying to construct a web. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive, and it applies extremely powerful on a workers' compensation claim. Those questions you see for the A box in the who, what, where, when, how, why have flowing questions out of them. Every question needs to be answered without writing the question down. The answer will imply the question. Be sure they're detailed. This should take 20 or 30 minutes to complete, not 30 seconds. It's imperative that we get the detail from them. The next box, box B, is the one which asks about unsafe conditions, unsafe acts, unsafe personal factors. On that same following page, at the bottom half, there's a section for the unsafe act, unsafe condition, unsafe personal factors. The employee is to pick one or more from that list without using their own words. They need to be specific and exact from that list. We want them to put what we want them to put down. 9 times in 10, they will put down it was their fault. They failed to follow training, they failed to follow policy, they were a bit lazy, and when that happens, we have a work comp claim that'll never change. But we probably do not have a lawyer. Attorneys do not like to take on claimants who've admitted it's their fault. And when they do it on paper, in writing, they signed and they dated, that is unassailable, that goes a long way towards setting the stage for where we're trying to go. Do we know this is going to be used for every claim? Of course it's not. But do we know which ones we'll need it on? Of course we don't. The key is to be consistent and get this information each and every time. So this is a very, very important form. Now we go back to the cover page. The cover page is the guideline for how the forms will flow. We've talked about the first report of injury, we've talked about the supervisor, we've talked about the witness, we've talked about the injured employee. The various companies will have supplemental forms. There is a supplement form within your packet that needs to be completed by you in the office. That form will accompany the other forms, and they're sent in by fax or by email to the address shown on the instruction page. That's how that flows. That gets the information in for processing, and it is complete and thorough as you can. If you're not able to get everything in right away, and that is very possible, send what you can in as soon as possible. Timely reporting is very important. If you'll look below box 7, line 7, you'll see it highlighted in yellow that a nurse will be contacting you, the doctor, and the injured employee within 24 hours. The nurse is to coordinate the process, to make sure they have from you details, to make sure they talk to the doctor about what their assessment was of the injury, and to remind the doctor that we have sedentary light duty that is strategically created that can accommodate any situation, any industry, any business, and can be done at home. If the employee is breathing, we will have light duty for them. It is imperative. That's a subject we will talk about later. The nurse will contact the injured employee and make sure they understand what the situation is and about their medical care. They will coordinate a written triage report. They will make suggestions and recommendations, and together that will go into the adjuster, and they will use it to move the claim along. All too often, adjusters are bogged down with claims, and ours is one of those that can sit on the sideline and wait, or we can move it along by providing enough support, guidance, and direction to make the adjuster's job easy, so they, in essence, prefer our claims coming in. They're much easier and they flow quicker. And that's what we need, timeliness across the board. We will be aggressive, we will stay on offense, and we will both benefit. Now we're going to go back to the cover page. The cover instruction page, once again, look at the bottom, the last heading caption, underlined, remember. This is to remind you that there is a refusal of doctor's care form in this file, the last form in the file. The refusal of doctor's care form is there so we can document the employee had the option of going to the doctor, but they chose not to, and that's fine. We like for them to go. We want the doctor to be able to put the kibosh to the claim as soon as possible and make a decision rather than have it resurface later and become a problem. But the employee may opt not to go. However, if you'll notice on that first instruction line, it also reminds you that there is a drug test to be done because, in essence, we have a claim. We just have a claimant who doesn't want to go to the doctor. Two entirely different matters. We treat it as a claim, it's submitted as a claim, all the paperwork goes in as a claim, and the employee is still sent for drug testing. That's key. When they see they're not going to be able to skirt a drug test if they open their mouth about an injury, that's what we want to happen. Drugs are 60% of the work comp problem. That includes illegal drugs and the illegal use of legal drugs. It's a grave problem out there with workers' comp. We do not want this subject to get away from us, and it's a subject we will discuss at greater depth at a later time. So the refusal of doctor's care form is there. If the employee refuses the drug test, whether we have your program in place or not, they should be immediately suspended without pay and indefinitely suspended. Refusal is admission that there's a problem, which is why they don't want to be tested. And we treat it that way. However, the key is never terminate an employee on a workers' comp claim. It is a disaster in the making. We both lose control and influence, and we need influence to be successful going on offense. We need the influence. So in essence, we've covered the summary of the pages that make up this file and what to do and how to handle them. If you have any questions, you can call myself at our office number or talk to a field rep at our office.